another episode of Well-Adjusted Mama. I'm your host, Dr. Laura Brayton, and today's guest is Earth Landy speaking on Good Birthkeeper. Earth received a BA degree in 2003 from prestigious Mills College in Child Development with a prenatal and infant development focus. She is the founder of Good Birthkeeper Doula program established in San Francisco in 2005. Earth became a certified doula through Master Midwife Elizabeth Davis Heart and Hands program, an 80-hour-plus midwifery education intensive in 2002, and later co-facilitated doula courses with Elizabeth Davis. She completed the Nursing Mothers Council 60-hour breastfeeding counselor certification course in 2004, and Earth is a certified yoga instructor and registered with the International Yoga Alliance in 2010. She's also practiced massage therapy since 1998. Earth has been featured in leading trade publications including Midwifery Today Magazine, Mothering Magazine, and the newsletter for the California Association of Midwives. She also was featured in the acclaimed documentary, My Baby, My Body, My Birth. She was a guest speaker on popular radio shows in the San Francisco Bay Area, as well as a guest speaker at Life West Chiropractic College, Palmer Chiropractic College, New College of San Francisco, Contra Costa College, and Hayward State University. Currently, Earth maintains a private Good Birthkeeper doula practice in both Playa del Carmen, Mexico, and San Francisco, California. She has taught birth courses in California, Texas, Massachusetts, New York, and Mexico. Earth has 2 daughters that were born at home and divides her time between San Francisco, Mexico, and Connecticut. For more information, please visit her website at myearthpower.com. Well, welcome, Earth, to the podcast. I'm so excited to have you on today.
Thank you, Dr. Laura. It's a pleasure to be here at Well-Adjusted Baby.
Yay! So, Earth, our topic, what we're going to be focusing on is what is a good birth keeper. And I'm just so excited for you to share your knowledge and wisdom regarding this topic. And, I just want to share with the audience that I had the opportunity to meet with you for the first time last weekend at one of your doula trainings. And it was just such a powerful event that you put on. And it was just very called personally to bring you to the Well-Adjusted Mama podcast and share your message with our audience, because I know they're really going to resonate with what you have to say.
Wonderful. I'm really glad to be here, and thanks for the heads up. Of course, we're on Well-Adjusted Mama, so it's even a more exciting path for me to talk about, because I feel like being a good birth keeper and all of that entails is really about getting our mamas in a place where they feel balanced and connected and ready for this epic journey called motherhood.
Yeah, for sure. So I just want to start off with you sharing with our audience a little bit about who you are, your story, like how you kind of, how you've arrived at where you're at right now.
Sure, absolutely. Honestly, I think I'm a lot like a lot of other women and men called to this work of being a birth keeper, a good birth keeper, a birth worker. I just became a doula because I was utterly fascinated with the miracle we call human birth. And I gave birth to my 2 daughters at home, and throughout that epic process of giving birth in a loving and conscious way, I awakened a treasure trove, I call it, of self-love and power within me. And I was deeply humbled by just the interconnectedness of myself to everything that is. And I felt excited about the prospect of sharing my story with other women, with children, with fathers, with grandparents, about how good it felt to give birth in a loving atmosphere. And as I began to share my story with more and more good people in my life, I found that although my story is an old one, an ancient one, giving birth consciously and connected. I found it wasn't typical anymore for a lot of the women I had gone to high school with and had gone to college with and were my neighbors. I was finding that my attitude towards birth, that birth was a really wonderful, brilliant, beautiful process, wasn't a sentiment expressed by a lot of the other wonderful women in my life. And so that in itself really got me thinking deeply about, well, why is that? And what can I do to be a part of what I call empowering women to reclaim birth and to reclaim the sacred feminine of birth, and to do so in a way that really works for each individual woman.
Wow, beautiful. So I know that, it's so funny. As I was reading the script that you had written about your Good Birth Keeper doula curriculum, where you do trainings to teach people how to become a doula, your message, I could have written it myself. It was so funny how we share that same vision and passion for empowering women regarding the birth process. And I just think it's awesome. So I'd love for you to spend a little time talking about, like, what is a good birth keeper, and share with us about what your doula training looks like.
Sure. Well, a good birth keeper for me is, I suppose it's an authentically awake and loving human being who strives to keep birth good. So just like the garden needs tending, the house needs keeping, so does birth. There's sort of this misleading popular cultural belief that birth is a scary thing, that it's obviously a necessary thing to continue the expansion of the greater human family, but that it's turned into a event that has so much fear surrounding it. And so for me, the idea of being a good birth keeper is really a person that wants to take it on as their path in reminding each other, not just pregnant women. Of course, obviously, pregnant mamas need to be reminded, but so do all the good people that love these pregnant women, to be reminded that birth is actually a good thing. And so a good birth keeper, as we talk about in my Good Birth Keeper doula program, is that being a good birth keeper allows for a lot of sort of artistic expression on how you want to go about that. For some, being a good birth keeper is going to be supporting them prenatally, planting little seeds, guiding them towards a positive prenatal yoga class, or saying, hey, why don't you come and meet my chiropractor? She might have some really good things to say to you and get your body aligned. Or maybe you want to go kind of full throttle with it and actually attend births with women, being in the birth room with them, helping them get through this journey, no matter if it's 5 hours or 35 hours of giving birth. And sometimes you find yourself in a more supportive role after the baby is born, and sometimes it's just helping with some basic things of making sure breastfeeding is right on track. But a lot of times, because of our medicalized birth culture today, a lot of the work of a good birth keeper is what I call repair work, of really trying to bring back this sort of healthy attitude about being a mother and having a newborn and breastfeeding and bonding, because sometimes those healthy attitudes, oftentimes actually those healthy attitudes get put on the back burner after a woman has gone through what I call a typical medicalized childbirth experience, which is quite popular in the U.S. most especially. So good birth keeper is there really honestly to keep birth good and to keep women feeling positive and powerful about the journey unfolding in front of them.
So I'm realizing that, I've had some other doulas on the show in the past, but maybe we should also just kind of describe what a doula is. I know you did a little bit right there, but if there's anything you wanted to add about what is doula.
Sure. I mean, there was a time in our not so far off past that a doula, a woman who lends support during the childbearing year, was someone related to you. A doula usually would have been your sister or your mother or your grandmother or your cousin or your daughter, a neighbor, supporting you through this profoundly personal process. And now, like many things, we are sort of going to people that we don't know and looking for support. And that's a trend that I absolutely support. I'm a part of that, of people going outside of their close-knit tribe to find support. But I like to remind people that being a doula is nothing new. It's an ancient art. And human beings have it sort of encoded inside of us to support each other. And so when a woman is newly pregnant or in labor or has the newborn finally out the breast, like all of us doing something new, even if it's for the first time giving birth or for the fifth, having support, actually having someone physically there to answer questions, to massage your shoulders, to make you a cup of tea, to help transform those feelings of fear and confusion into feelings of clarity and confidence, is really what a doula is. And sort of the modern take on being a doula means that you meet a woman usually in her last several weeks of pregnancy, and most of the time, definitely not all of the time, you accompany her to give birth in the hospital setting. And a lot of the times, women who want a doula, who are hiring a doula, whether it's a volunteer or someone who's being paid, she wants to have a natural birth, and she feels most comfortable doing it in the hospital setting. So doula comes in with her bags of tricks, and I have been a good birth keeper doula trainer for the past 11 years. So I've had several good men take my course. But, usually it's a woman who accompanies the pregnant mama to the laboring room of the hospital, and you're helping her with breathing and labor positions and movement and meditation and massage and keeping her grounded and doing a little troubleshooting when there's some confusion about procedures and whatnot, and then supporting her throughout that entire birth experience, and then just sort of pinning on the relationship you have with your mama client. It will decide how far you'll go in the postpartum piece, but definitely at least 2 or 3 times after the baby's born to make sure that healthy, proper breastfeeding and bonding is taking place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that for me as a maternity chiropractor, it's one of the biggest things that I discuss with every single one of my pregnant clients is, do you have a doula? And so I think that is important to just have that conversation, because I have seen what a positive impact it makes for women in birth, especially in the hospital setting, and how the outcomes are much more favorable. And, even research has shown that women are less likely to have C-sections and other interventions when they have the support from a doula. So it's certainly worth investigating and looking into that.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, being pregnant is as precious as it is. It's such a fresh reminder that it's a fleeting moment. No matter how long your pregnancy is. I was pregnant with my youngest daughter for 42 weeks and 3 days, so I thought, oh my goodness, I really am going to be pregnant forever. But even that long of a pregnancy, it was over, and it's a time to take it very seriously what you need and what you want as a pregnant woman. This is an awesome opportunity to say, hey, I need support. I want someone who is really focused on me and helping me to manifest my wants and my desires and to help me deal with my concerns and my fears. So a doula really is this person, and it can be someone who's been professionally trained, like I train doulas, or it can be someone that you really trust in your life, that not only trusts you but also trusts in the process of birth. And you bring that person in and say, you know what, can you help me navigate through this pretty complex birth landscape that we have? So I think that's something that you and I talked about, Laura, and when we did Good Birth Keeper a couple of weeks ago, last week actually, it's gone by so fast, talking about women gathering up their resources and gathering up their good people. And an old midwife friend of mine would say, get your birth posse, get your birth tribe, get your community, get your group of people who can support you in manifesting what it is that you need for your baby and for yourself to create your best birth.
Definitely. And as we're having this conversation, I know you've been at, I don't know how many births you've been at, but you've been at a lot.
Yeah.
I was just curious if you could maybe, if a woman is thinking about hiring a doula, let's say, maybe she doesn't have a sister or mother or somebody close to her that's able to be at the actual live birth, and so she's choosing to hire a doula, somebody that she doesn't personally know yet, right? And she's interviewing a few different doulas. Do you have any recommendations about that interview process for a woman who is interviewing doulas to find the right person to be at her birth?
Yeah, most definitely. I think that one of the very first things to do as a pregnant woman looking for a doula is to give yourself permission to trust your instincts. And this is an ongoing theme and an incredibly important theme in not just pregnancy and birth, but in motherhood. And when we trust our instincts, we alleviate a lot of anxiety and indecisiveness. So that's really key. And so as you sit down and, do what you can, but try to interview at least 3 different people to be your doula so you can have an understanding of people's different styles. And you're looking for a connection. You're looking for instant connection, honestly. If you feel like someone looks really fantastic on paper, they've gone to a bunch of births, they've been recommended by all these people that you admire, of course that has weight. But if you're not feeling a connection after, let's say, the 30, 45-minute, 1-hour initial consultation, I would say go ahead and continue to look around, because you want to feel this sort of understanding, an unspoken understanding between this person. You're becoming intimate strangers. So as though it doesn't seem very pragmatic to do it this way, I'm really an advocate for going with your gut, going with the feeling, And if the feeling is there, then, of course, you start to ask some more practical questions, anything from, are you comfortable in the hospital setting? How many of your moms end up having an epidural? Or do you have a lot of experience with natural birth in the hospital settings, or do the majority of your moms end up on pain medications? That's an important piece, because birth looks very different when it's been altered by pharmaceutical drugs. And so once that feeling is there and you feel like, okay, I want this person around me, then you start to ask those little nitty-gritty questions about their availability and their scope of practice, like what do they offer and what are they willing to do? Are you going to be there with me? This is an important piece, really important, is are you going to be there with me the entire time? So from the moment I call you to the moment, the baby is born and breastfeeds, are you planning on leaving? And so a lot of doulas will be there with you the entire time. But there is a trend happening now where we're seeing more doulas doing practice share. And if that works for you, that's great. It's just you don't want to be surprised when halfway through a different person comes to support you. So making sure they can really be there for you, finding out what they offer, and then, just finding out sort of their attitudes about birth in general, and understanding that they are there to support you. They are your advocate, but they're certainly not you. So in the end, it's going to always be about you and your body and your birth and your baby, and that doula is really there just to amplify your wants and needs.
Mm-hmm. That's right. That was so well put. And, it is important to, like you said, interview usually like 3 different women for the doula position, because through those interviews you really will be able to compare and contrast and see, get a very clear feeling of who is going to be the best fit at your birth. It's such a personal thing to have someone at your birth, so you want to really feel safe and supported and connected to that person.
Absolutely, and I think it could go way beyond just the doula. I really encourage my mama clients to interview more than one obstetrician if they choose to go the doctor route, and to interview more than one midwife if they decide to go the midwife route, because having that relationship with the person that you really feel relaxed in can just propel you to having a birth that you feel really, really good about. And if there's any uncertainty about the people that you're inviting to this profoundly personal, powerful process, take a pause. Take a moment to reflect on, do I need to feel uncertain about this? Because most of us, not all of us, of course, some of us are really limited in who we're able to bring into our birth environment. But if you are blessed with choice, then I encourage women to explore choice as much as they can, so that they feel really good about the choices that they're making.
Mm-hmm. So true. So I know, in addition to being a doula and a doula trainer, that you also are, have a lot of support for just women in general. And I just would love for you to share a little bit about how you inspire women. And this is just, whether it's pregnancy, birth, or just beyond.
Yeah, I absolutely love that question. I think for me, I live by the radical notion that being alive is a really good thing. It's a blessing to be alive. It's an utter treat to wake up in the morning and to be able to look about and give, thanks to a higher power, whether you call it the universe, source energy, God, but just to be excited about being alive. And I think that sort of open optimism allows me to inspire women to remember who they are, who they really are. And I do this in every facet of my life. One of the reasons why I am so excited about birth is because birth is this amazing sort of, it's an opportunity in a way. Yes, you're pregnant and you're going to have this baby, and that's incredibly joyful. But it is also an opportunity for women to awaken to their most authentic selves. And of course, that old saying, you got to talk, you got to walk the talk, So I do my best to live in a very inspired way, so that when I look women in the eye to talk about their choices, not just in birth, but in sex and in mothering and following a path that excites them, I think that's really a crucial piece in creating a very soul-satisfying existence, is to follow what thrills you. We've all seen that meme on Facebook, follow your bliss, but yet I think that is a really important piece. But keeping up with that idea of open optimism. And so when you're really feeling good about your life, share it. Don't keep it secret. your friends, tell your community, tell your people closest to you that being inspired is being in spirit is a really wonderful way to live. So for me, mainly, it's reflecting back to women the power that I see. I think about that well-known mantra now, Sanskrit Namaste. Yeah, if you've taken a yoga class or just a meditation, or maybe you've just heard it in our pop culture lexicon now, but Namaste has a lot of weight to it, and it means many things. But in a quick little nutshell, it means that I recognize the divine light in you. Therefore, I recognize that divine light in myself. So being a reflection to other women, getting a compliment from someone and giving it right back, like, you're so beautiful. Yes, you recognize my beauty because that beauty is inside of you. So helping our sisters and our brothers, of course, the conversation of birth includes us all, but helping those loved ones in our lives or the strangers on the street to just remembering really the awesomeness of who they are, and I say so in a really sincere way that it's okay to be a cheerleader. Be a cheerleader for this idea that being alive is a really good thing.
You're speaking my language.
Yay, I love it.
Yeah, and I think the other thing too, and this is something that has become, unfortunately part of our culture, that as women, a lot of times we feel like we don't want to share our successes and things that we're happy and proud of because we don't want to hurt other women's feelings or look like we're bragging. And in general, from what I've seen, men don't have as much of an issue with that. So I do think it's great anytime we can really let women know, show women, and share with women, shine bright, and because it really does lift everybody up around you when you do that.
Oh, absolutely. It's so well put. I had a moment with my daughters. They're now 13 and 11, and I think at the time they must have been, I would say 10 and 8, and they had a good friend over, and this good friend was a huge Justin Bieber fan, and so we would make little jokes about it, and one day she came over to say, I hate Selena Gomez. I hate her. And Selena Gomez, I guess, is another up-and-coming young starlet who at the time was romantically involved with Justin Bieber. And I said, why do you hate Selena Gomez? She's like, because she's Justin Bieber's girlfriend, and I want to be Justin Bieber's girlfriend. And I said, well, sweetheart, here with me and my girls, we don't get jealous. What we do instead, and it's so much more fun, we get inspired. We get excited about the good fortune of others, and it feels different. And it's a piece that we can use throughout our entire life as adults, of this idea of getting really inspired by the good fortune of our friends and family and of people that you don't know. And it's definitely, for some of us, comes very easy to not be jealous and to be inspired. And others, it takes work, but it's good work. It's work worth pouring yourself into, because the frequency shifts things. As you get happy and grateful for others' good fortune, then you start to really see that being happy and grateful is your birthright. And then the more happy and grateful you are in general, the more you attract that energy into your life. And so you have more situations, more opportunities to be grateful and thankful. And it's just sort of this awesome, continuum that builds and builds and builds. So, like you said perfectly, shine bright. And then you can, maybe even be that light post, that lighthouse, that lighthouse to help someone navigate some dark and rocky waters.
Right. I mean, that's such a good story that you just shared about, we have control over the energy frequency of ourselves, right? And we can choose to be positive or not. And when jealousy comes up, which it can creep up, it can be very subconscious. But when we recognize it's there, we do have an opportunity to shift it and certainly teach our daughters and sons the same. Why this is so important to be excited for others around them and to share in the celebration.
Absolutely. I totally agree. And it doesn't come easy right away. I had a yoga teacher tell me years ago, well, fake it till you make it, in the whole realm of being positive. If being positive and optimistic doesn't come easy for you, that's okay. Don't beat yourself up, but just fake it till you make it and see what you can start to shift.
Yeah, definitely. So I want to shift gears back to focusing on birth. And, in the training that I did with you this past weekend, you shared that there's really two different, birth outcomes. There's an empowering birth experience and there's a disempowering birth experience that women go through. And can you just talk a little bit about what that is, what that means, and what do women need to know to create an empowering birth experience for themselves?
Sure, that's a great question and a really deep one, because this is really what this work is all about. This is what being a part of the culture of good birth is really about, is recognizing that there are these two possible outcomes. And what we talk about in Good Birth Keeper Doula course is what we can do to prevent disempowering birth by empowering women as much as we can. Being empowered is this idea of really owning, I can. And the opposite to that, of course, is I can't. I can't do this. And so birth is always riddled with messages. And a lot of the messages are nonverbal. There's so much information that's going to come up for a woman. And this information that comes up is going to be utilized in her mothering. So understanding that pregnancy and birth is preparing a woman to mother. We kind of forget that sometimes. It's not just about the birth. This is her, for most mothers, and of course there's all different paths on becoming a mother, but for many mothers it's through childbirth. And so feeling empowered is this idea of that, look what I did. Oh my goodness, I'm powerful. I set my mind to it. I trusted my body. What else can I do? I'm empowered enough. I feel good enough. I feel confident enough that I can actually take care of newborn. I can breastfeed all the time. I can wear my baby. I can sleep with my baby. I can answer the cries of my child. These are some basic fundamentals in being a mother, being able to have the confidence to answer the cries of your baby. And disempowered women have a lot of static. It's not a clear channel. They hear their baby crying after a disempowering birth, and they're confused on what to do because they doubt themselves. They doubt their bodies. They said, wait a minute now, I wasn't able to do it. And I don't know if I'm able to breastfeed. I don't know if I can trust myself to sleep with my baby. I don't know if I can trust myself to know what my baby needs. And this is a really important thing, because when you feel like you can answer your baby's cries and give them what they need, you just start getting more and more and more confident about who you are as a woman. And it doesn't mean you're going to be this perfect mother. None of us are. There's potential to be a really good mom, and that's what we're aiming for. And when you feel disempowered, oh my goodness, you become riddled with doubt about your abilities to take care of the young people in your life and to take care of yourself. And it's not really a mystery what makes an empowered birth and makes a disempowered birth. And unfortunately, and I totally am a firm believer in the tides of change for the better, But unfortunately, right now in 2016, we're pretty well rooted in a culture of disempowering birth.
That's sad. So I completely agree with everything you just said. What are the fundamentals that a woman needs to know to help her create an empowering birth for herself?
Well, first of all, a woman has to know that giving birth is a body-focused process. It's an inside-out process. And so it's really important to be around people who understand that this biological blueprint that's inside of you to give birth to your baby needs to be cultivated and nurtured in a really powerfully positive way. So one of the things that I always say to a woman is like, okay, so tell me who's on deck. Who are the people that are supporting you? And she starts to tell me, and if I only hear maybe it's, the obstetrician who, albeit can be very positive and supportive, usually can only spend about 6 minutes with you. One of the first things I'm going to say is, okay, find yourself a good chiropractor. Why do I say chiropractic? Well, it's not just because chiropractic can align the pelvis, which allows for an optimal birth-giving experience. You have an aligned body, an aligned pelvis, an aligned uterus. Your baby's in the optimal position. Obviously, on a biomechanical outlook, being aligned is really important. One of the main reasons that I advocate, although I'm not a chiropractor myself, for chiropractic care is because you're spending time with someone who's going to put their hands on you and believes in the power of the body, believes in what chiropractors and many healers call innate intelligence, that inborn sense of wisdom. Because without trusting the body, it's going to be very, very difficult to have an empowering birth experience. You can have all the essential oils that you need, the birthing ball, the perfect music. All these things are important, the low lights. But if you don't have that crucial inside-out attitude, philosophy that your body works, that birth works, that your baby is intelligent, it's going to be very, very difficult. So I'm always trying to connect women with people that are going to just keep bringing that message home. And for me, in my experiences as a doula or as a good birth keeper for 16 years, about the chiropractic piece has become very important because I see the empowerment that it brings to women, as well as other aspects. So getting to know your body, trusting in your body, and you have to use your body to know it, and you have to know your body to trust it. So, getting into that prenatal yoga class, getting into that prenatal dance class, making love in a way that really works for you so that you feel like your needs are being taken care of. And then once that is rooted in, to say, okay, well, let me take a look at this midwife that I'm hiring. I want to have a home birth. And you need to know, well, is your midwife able to do that for you, or does she have a really high transfer rate to the hospital? Or let me be with this OB, this obstetrician. I think I like his attitude. Well, that's great, but what's the epidural rate for this obstetrician? What's the cesarean rate for this obstetrician? Or, I really love that hospital. It's a beautiful hospital. It's 2 blocks from my home. It's a no-brainer. Of course, I'm going to give birth there. Okay, that's great. But what is their policy on separating women from their relationships? Meaning, do they make you choose to only have 1 or 2 people in the birthing room and you have 4 people that you want to support them? Or what is the overall cesarean rate of that hospital? So you really need to understand who it is you're inviting in, what they bring to the table, and you want to be with people, quite frankly, that present childbirth in a very straightforward, optimistic way. If they're not openly optimistic about birth, I would say, quickly pack up your things and run. Because if birth is being presented to you in a pessimistic way, in a way where everything's set up for you to fail and for birth to fail, you don't need that. And you have choices. You have options. And if you don't know where those options are, then you have to just have that sort of get up and go about you to start asking those questions. And so oftentimes prenatal yoga teachers have resources, and certainly a maternity care pediatrics chiropractor will as well.
Mm-hmm. It's so true. A lot of women coming to my practice, were referred in by a friend who got great results during her pregnancy. And essentially when she comes to my office, she has an OB that she's, working with, and typically not a lot of other team members. So a big part of what I do in my practice is helping to support that woman in creating her birth team. And it's many different people that are involved that will help her have the best pregnancy and help her have an awesome birth experience as well.
Absolutely. That's really, really important. And creating a team of people that are going to support you by giving you lots of information that's positive, but also a team of people who are going to actually take the time to be with you and to place their hands on you. And I think that's one of the reasons I advocate so much for midwifery care, and I advocate so much for chiropractic care. And my work as a good birth keeper was the experience of just having people take their time with me. I got midwifery care and I got chiropractic adjustments throughout both of my pregnancies, and that really awakened something in me that had been dormant for a long time of trusting in my body and being amazed at the sorts of things that I was learning about my body just by having my team members, as you put it, coming from that philosophy that the body works.
Yeah. And, it's so funny having this conversation. You're reflecting back to me, chiropractic philosophy in a way that I actually, I have a new perspective on it. When I'm talking to my pregnant moms, I'm like, chiropractic's important for your pelvic alignment and the baby's position, and it leads to an easier labor and delivery, and that's my spiel. That's the truth. That's what chiropractic offers women. But you really just added a really important component of how a woman will be more connected to her body because she's under chiropractic care and her whole spine is in alignment, and that connection will create a deeper, more spiritual birth connection. It is beyond just the physical alignment component as well.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I get chills thinking about who I was as a woman before chiropractic in my life and afterwards. I mean, we talk about turning the lights on, or for those that chiropractic is new to them, chiropractic focus is ridding the body, of course, of interference or subluxation. And when I finally found out what subluxation means, I'm like, oh my God, it means less light? Less light? Oh, wow. So it's really about me shining bright and turning the lights on. And when you have the lights turn on, I mean, honestly, you start to see things in a very different way. And when I made that connection with what subluxation means and bringing more light about through an adjustment, and then I connected to what the Spanish word for giving birth, which is the phrase is dar a luz, which simply means to give light. That's all it means, to give light. But that's the standard childbirth phrase in Spanish-speaking countries, to give light, dar a luz. And thinking, this is really about light. And the more light you exude, the more, trust you have in the body. So, yeah, all of this, goes into the spirit. And, it's definitely an interesting time to be a spiritual person, because sometimes spirit is kind of considered something that should just be saved for certain days of the week or certain holidays of the year. But really, it's a way of living, and you can still have an iPhone and, wear lipstick and go shopping and have a spiritual life, so it's right for everybody.
Thank you for enlightening me on that, because I guess I'm sure I knew it, and it was obviously part of who I am, but it's important to articulate as well, and so that's something that's going to be brought into more of my conversations with women going forward.
Wonderful. Love it.
Yeah. So to wrap up, I want to have you share with our listeners about your new Doula on the Go program and maybe some of your upcoming trainings and just how can they get in touch with you?
Oh, wonderful. Great. Well, I am on the web at www.myearthpower.com, and my first name is Earth, good old-fashioned hippie name from my parents. And I offer Doula on the Go. It is a intimate birth support service, and it's giving you birth, sex, parenting, relationship support wherever you are in the world and wherever I am in the world. Since I do a lot of travel, I have an international clientele. It gives me the chance to talk about what matters to you most, and we can do this either through FaceTime or through Skype or good old-fashioned landline connection as well. And we talk for about an hour, and I usually like to be prepped on what it is that you want, but oftentimes we talk about what comes up for you spontaneously. And I think of myself as a birth intuitive, is that I really am excited about coming to clients through Doula on the Go, through these remote yet intimate support platform as an empty bowl, so that I can really receive what it is that you need most, what it is that you're longing for. And I love it when we can talk about things that you may have been a bit intimidated to talk about with other people close to you. So Doula on the Go, and I have a sliding scale rate that I charge, so that, you know, I can help you whether you're living on Park Avenue in Manhattan or you're living in a rural community in Mexico. So that's really an important thing to me. And then my other baby is my Good Birth Keeper Doula course, now in its soon to be its 12th year next March. And Good Birth Keeper is a fantastic opportunity to really get awakened to what it means to create the culture of good birth. And a lot of people who take the course do become birth doulas, so they actually want to be on call and go to birth. But a majority of the people who take this course are just really excited about, turning the lights on and having an understanding about their own birth experience and why we are making the choices that we are making, why we've made the choices that we've made in the past, so that we can really create a bright and positive future. So it's a 40-hour course, 40-hour contact hours with me. I just did one in San Francisco in September and one in Park Slope, Brooklyn with Dr. Laura last week, and I am going to be up and at 'em again January, the last 2 weeks in San Francisco, February in Playa del Carmen, Mexico, and then again, I'm so excited, in April, I'll be doing one in Hoboken, New Jersey at this fabulous women's chiropractic office, of course, Dr. Laura, and also I'll be doing one in Connecticut, in Bethel, Connecticut. So that's what's coming up for me, and all kinds of people are welcome to take the course. Again, I'm really excited about attracting money energy in my life for the lifestyle that I want to lead, but I do have a lot of opportunities for people to participate who can't pay the full price. So never let money get in the way of you going towards something that you want. So please come, and we have a special space for students and a special space, holding space for students and holding space for very young people. So if you know a young person in your life, 15 to 19, who would also like to do the course, I'm happy to accommodate them as well. And most definitely, I'm extremely excited. A diverse audience for this conversation of childbirth is really important. So yes, having women take the course, you certainly don't need to be pregnant to take the course. Interesting enough, most of the time I don't have pregnant women taking the course, but I have quite a few. But I'm really excited about including elders in the course. I would love to get people who are over the age of 60 to be in the course, and of course men. This conversation is open to men, and they're needed, so it's really for everybody. And so you can go to www.myearthpower.com to find out more about Good Birth Keeper Doula program, and also Doula on the Go. And it's a great way if you know someone who is in need of talking to an intuitive about childbirth. You can also, buy them a session and give it to them as a gift.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's so exciting that, because now you're actually based in Mexico,
yes.
your home base. So, but you're still open and accessible to people living all over, and that's what's cool too with this audience is we have people from all over the globe listening to Well-Adjusted Mama, so they can still connect with you, and the power of the internet, we can continue this conversation and share and have support, even if you don't live locally.
Oh yeah, that's so important, and I love how you're on the front line of that as well, Laura. Is that we're really taking this message internationally, and it has to be that way because that's how we throw this conversation, as forward as we can. And so, doing the Well-Adjusted Mama podcast and doing something like Doula on the Go, it gives us the opportunity we really do want to expand our audience as much as we can, so we have this sort of global presence in childbirth.
That's right. Earth, do you have any last thoughts that you want to share about birth?
Yeah, I do. I just want to remind anyone that's listening that giving birth is brilliant and it's beautiful and it warrants our utmost attention. It deserves to be taken care of. And I want to encourage you, if you know anyone that's pregnant in your life or you're pregnant yourself, to take the sensitivity of the newborn very seriously so we can find ways to make their coming into this world of the senses as gentle and as respectful as possible. So to really encourage all of us to have a reverence for this new life, Anyone who's pregnant, I always say that, and this is a wonderful time to bring a beautiful new soul into the world, but let's do this with a lot of care. So you can do little things to plant seeds of good birth keeping in your life. You don't have to come and take the course. You don't have to read a bunch of books, but just, take the time to see a pregnant woman and say, wow, you're going to have a beautiful birth, or you're beautiful, or taking the time to maybe remind the hospital staff, hey, can we turn the lights off because we have a new baby in the room, and, all of this is very new to them. So just go gentle and go with love in your heart, and let's work together to, transform these feelings of confusion and fear into feelings of clarity and love, and let's keep working together to create the culture of good birth.
Yay!
Yay!
I love that. I love it.
Yay, Laura. Thank you so much. I just feel really blessed and happy to gush about you on your own podcast. Just this opportunity to have met you and to really to feel the conviction and the power that you have, not just as a chiropractor, but as a woman, and it's really exciting that we're co-creating together.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. I'm very grateful to have you on today and for a connection with a soul sister.
Yay. Let's keep doing it.